Good morning. I'm Jonathan Noyalis, Director of Shenandoah University's McCormick Civil War Institute. Today I'm coming to you from a virtual Rutherfords Farm battlefield. The image that you see behind me would be impossible to capture today because all of this area is developed right off of exit 317 north of Winchester. So I took this photograph about 14 years ago before development consumed this battlefield. But on July 19th, 1864, the day after the Confederate victory at the Battle of Cool Spring, Confederate General Jubal Early greeted a courier at his headquarters in Berryville who informed him that a column of Union soldiers, commanded by General William Averell, were moving south from Martinsburg toward Winchester. So this was something that greatly concerned General Early, because you already had Union General Horatio Wright's pursuit force that was pursuing him from Washington, D.C., a part of which, of course, clashed with Early at the Battle of Cool Spring on the 18th. So Wright is in his front. And then if Averell moves to Winchester, that means that Early is going to be sandwiched right smack dab in the middle of two Union forces. So Jubal Early made the decision to withdraw from the vicinity of Cool Spring and Berryville on the 19th, head west to Winchester, and then put his men on the Valley Pike and move south toward Strasburg. While the bulk of Confederate forces headed south to Strasburg, Jubal Early left General Stephen Dodson Ramseur's division in Winchester to protect the rear of the column. Jubal Early gave General Ramseur very strict instructions to not attack the enemy unless he attacked Ramseur. But on the 20th, Ramseur learned that Averell's force was numerically inferior to his own, and as a result of a set of circumstances, Ramseur decided to engage Averell north of Winchester. Now, Averell's command was indeed numerically inferior. He had about 2,700 men. Ramseur had about double of that. Even though you would think that a numerically superior force would defeat a numerically inferior one, that is not what happened at the Battle of Rutherfords Farm. Averell won the day in a pretty decisive victory. Union victories, as many people who are familiar with the Shenandoah Valley story know, were extremely rare up to this point in the conflict. So after the battle was over, soldiers in Averell's command were trying to figure out what was it that gave us the edge. And as I argued in an article I wrote years ago for America's Civil War magazine, it was more than likely a special type of combustible cartridge that the infantry in Averell's command were using. So instead of loading the musket in the traditional 9 steps where you take a cartridge and you tear it from, tear the bullet from the top of the cartridge and pour the powder down and take the bullet and seat it and ram it, you would actually take the entire cartridge, bullet, powder, the wrapping, and you'd ram the entire thing down. So you would save a lot of steps, you'd save a lot of time, and you'd be able to maximize your firing capability and sort of even the numerical odds a little bit. Certainly to soldiers like Corporal Jesse Tyler Sturm of the 14th West Virginia Infantry, he believed that Union success at Rutherfords Farm was indeed attributable to this particular kind of combustible cartridge they were using. And Sturm wrote, in part, "I attribute our success greatly to the ammunition we used. We had never used the like before, and it enabled us to fire probably twice as fast as the old style cartridge. Besides, we lost no powder, as is always the case when loading on a rapid fire move." Now, while there were several variants of combustible cartridges used during the conflict, such as the one designed by Army Surgeon Robert Bartholomew or the Hazard Powder Company, I think it's reasonable to surmise that the cartridge which might have given the Union soldiers the advantage at Rutherfords Farm was the Johnston and Dow combustible cartridge. So I hope you've enjoyed this little episode. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Stay safe.